in particular, faces a major threat from the Tehreek-i-Taliban Pakistan. The TTP and its affiliates have been responsible for carrying out a series of organized cross-border terrorist attacks on our soil. There evidence that the TTP receives support from our main adversary. Pakistan has indeed paid an enormous price for its 40 years of generosity towards Afghanistan. Interim authorities have reported some success in the fight against Daesh. The fact is that a number of terrorist groups are living in Afghanistan, evidently under the protection of the Afghan interim government. Pakistan, in particular, faces a major threat from the Tehreek-i-Taliban Pakistan. The TTP and its affiliates have been responsible for carrying out a series of organized cross-border terrorist attacks on our soil, causing considerable loss of our civilians and soldiers and causing considerable damage to our military and other installations. We have lost hundreds of our brave soldiers and civilians in these attacks just this year alone. And last week, a TTP-affiliated group carried out a heinous attack on our security personnel in Dera Ismail Khan, resulting in the loss of more than 23 precious lives. These attacks have become more lethal and sophisticated since the TTP terrorists have acquired and use advanced military equipment. These weapons obviously originate from the considerable stocks left behind by foreign forces. Yet the question is, how did the TTP, a listed terrorist organization, secure these weapons? Pakistan demands that the United Nations, whether UNAMA or another agency, conduct a thorough investigation to elicit how these weapons got in the hands of the TTP and to identify ways of retrieving them. It is clear that the TTP has been given free rein to conduct cross-border attacks against Pakistan's border outposts and other installations. We also have clear evidence that the TTP receives support from our main adversary. Mr. President, the Security Council should invigorate the work of the 1988 Committee to secure action by the Afghan interim government against all these terrorist groups in Afghanistan and empower the monitoring team to analyze and inform the committee and this council about progress made in the context of counterterrorism in Afghanistan. Any process of engagement with the Afghan interim government should be conducted on the basis of the action that it takes against these terrorist organizations. Else, we will see the recurrence and proliferation of terrorism from Afghanistan, as happened prior to 9/11, threatening not only the region, but the entire world. Mr. President, Pakistan has indeed paid an enormous price for its 40 years of generosity towards Afghanistan. After 40 years, we continue to host 1.4 million registered Afghan refugees with little or no support from the international community. Since the Afghan interim government claims that peace has been restored in Afghanistan, it should work with the High Commissioner for Refugees to make preparations for the early repatriation of these Afghan refugees.